In last week's section, we talked about the plan step of the PDCA cycle. Today, we're going to talk about the do step, so implementing the permanent countermeasures. So when we talk about permanent countermeasures, it means that we're doing something that's counter to what we've done before. So if the problem occurred because of some action we were taking, we want to do something counter to that to prevent that problem from reoccurring. So implementing the permanent countermeasures. So in this section, we're going to talk about identifying, selecting, and implementing the permanent countermeasures. And then next session, we'll talk about visual management and how to use visual management to ensure that the permanent countermeasures are sustainable. So of course, when we start with the root cause analysis, I use 5Y. We start at the 5th Y and work our way up to see if the countermeasure that we put in place for the 5th Y solves all the previous Y questions up the chain of the causality. So we start at the bottom, we answer the 5th Y, we validate each of the Ys with evidence and data, then we work up to see if that countermeasure solves each of the Y statements up the chain. Okay, so starting with the 5th Y, develop the permanent countermeasure that addresses the cause. Then for the first permanent countermeasure, does that address each of the Y's going up the chain? If it does, then you have one permanent countermeasure that solves all the Y's in the causal chain. If not, you might need to add a second countermeasure to address some of the issues with the problem. Then once the permanent countermeasures are put in place, the most important thing is making sure that people change and start doing the new process. If we don't get everyone on board to do the new process, then we'll have some people doing the old process, some people doing the new process, and of course, you're not going to solve the problem doing that. So one of the keys of the do process is getting everybody on board and making sure everybody transitions to the new permanent countermeasures so that the problem will actually disappear and it'll be sustainable so the problem doesn't reoccur.